Okay guys, welcome back to the Prepared Pathfinder, and what I'm going to be talking about today is something very close to every soldier's heart, which is rations. Okay, and specifically what I'm going to be doing is comparing the British Operational 24-Hour Ration Pack and the American MRE. So then, rations, as I said, close to every soldier's heart. Whenever you go away on exercises and operations, generally they're the only thing you've got to look forward to, really. I've been away for months on end, and all I've eaten is these things. And if all you're eating is the same thing every time, then it becomes not even something to look forward to anymore. It's pretty horrible. Luckily, with the British ration packs, they've sorted that problem out to a degree, and I'll go into that a little bit more when I talk about the British ORP Operational Ration Pack. And so first, what I'm going to be talking about is the British 24-Hour Ration Pack, the Operational Ration Pack, and what's in there, pros and cons of it, how it's prepared, stuff like that, okay? So, before they came in bags like this, which is kind of leaning a little bit more towards what the MREs look like nowadays. They used to come in a box like this. Okay, so this was the 24-hour ration pack. This is how they used to come until very recently. It's only been, I don't know, a year or two since they've been coming in bags like this. They come with a natty little handle on the top. You can carry it around like a bag of shopping if you're on absolute rent. But yeah, this is how they come, and it's not a bad thing because they are sealed. So, you know, if for some reason your Bergen got dropped in a flipping river or something, all the stuff in there is you know, it's watertight. But basically, you won't want to be carrying it in your Bergen like this anyway. This is creating rubbish. So, personally, whenever I've used ration packs before in the past, I've broken down, I've taken out the stuff that I don't use. Because there will be stuff in there that you don't like, you know, that you're definitely not going to eat. It depends on how you're operating. Again, like I say, every gram counts when you're on foot. Anyone that's operated on foot and carried all their rations for 7 or more days will tell you that. 7 days rations weighs around about 35 pounds on its own before you've put anything else on in your Bergen. So anything like water, you know, your warm kit, your basher, any radio equipment, radio batteries, support weapons, ammunition, anything else. Okay, so it does add up the weight. Okay, so the ration pack itself then, that's how it comes now, and what you get now as a cooker are these little BCB cookers. So for all you old and bold out there, hexamin is gone, it's a thing of the past. You get these small little cookers, and they're pretty similar to the old Hexia cookers. They're basically wrapped in cellophane now instead of that waxy paper. Come with a little instruction leaflet, and these are actually made by BCB now. So the cooker basically opens up very similar to the old Hexi type, but they're a bit smaller like that, and they've got little settings on here. You can set them for, you know, cups or whatever, like so. And they also come with a natty little windshield there as well. So it's got a little thing on there marked out, so that's on the outside, and if the wind was coming from this direction that way, then you put it there, and you've got a little windshield there just to protect it. And to go with that then, instead of Hexi now, you've got these things, Fire Dragon, and it's basically like a gel substance, and that just drops into the centre there. Take out this packet and drop it in the centre, and that's what you use to heat your meals now. Okay, so that's one thing that's changed recently, British Army ration packs. Okay then, so going into the actual ration pack itself then, there's no like thing to undo, so you basically just got to break it open somehow. Just get your knife out or just rip it open, whatever. First thing I've got in here then, this is just like a little a leaflet that they put in to try and get some feedback on the rations. How do you feel about them and stuff, which I think is a great idea, because the more feedback they get, you know, hopefully they improve the rations. Who knows, might even spend some money on doing stuff like that for you. So first thing at the top of the rations then, what I've got is like a sundries packet here, alright? So what I really like about the rations, what they've done in recent years, is they've put these sealable bags, these Ziploc bags in. These are really good for organising your rations. So personally what I do with them is I get all the brew kit, the stuff that I will use out of the brew kit, and just put it all together in one bag like this, and then I'll get another bag from my next ration and use that for all my biscuits and sweeties and stuff like that, you know. So it does help organise your stuff, and you can use these obviously for loads of good stuff, and they're actually quite robust bags. You know, you'd think that they put a crappy little thing in, but they're quite good actually, I think. Anyway, enough about the bag. Going into the actual bag then of stuff, what you've got is your brew kit and all that. And it's not as comprehensive as the older ones used to be, but it's not bad either. So they've started putting in some newer things like these wipes. So you get a couple of alcohol-free antibacterial wipes, which personally I don't bother with myself, but they're not a bad idea because, you know, you can clean bits and pieces up with it and clean your hands and that before you eat, so it's not a bad idea really. You get a spork, a bit of a funny looking one there, no doubt that's the cheapest one they could find. It's not bad though, it's never going to last forever, but because you get one in every ration pack then it's not a bad thing. Personally I don't bother with these because they break really easily, and I just carry a more sturdy spoon in my webbing. Okay, then you've got your various bits of brew kit, so you've got a few packets of sugar there, 3 packets of sugar, you've got 3 packets of creamer as well. You've got 2 tea bags. For some reason they've got 2 brands of tea bags there. I don't know why they've got 2 different types, but there's 2 kinds of tea bags there. And 2 packets of coffee, which ain't bad really. So you've got 2 teas, 2 coffees. You've also got some chewing gum there, and you've got some purification tablets as well. So not too bad, but like I say, I think they've scaled this down a little bit compared to the older ration packs that used to be in these ones. They used to be a little bit more brew kit and they didn't have things like these in, but it's still fairly decent. Okay, so that's that sort of sundries packet done. Okay, next out of the actual bag then, what we've got is some biscuits. So a lot of people out there will be horrified that these are still in there because they've been going forever. The old biscuits brown. These are really good at sort of blocking you up. I won't go too much into detail with that, but yeah, these are kind of like a meal on their own really, and you can put various spreads on them, things like cheese spread, peanut butter, stuff like that. So they're not bad, they're kind of fairly robust. You need to have robust teeth to eat them as well. Right then, next thing in here then, you've got some hot chocolate. So no idea why they don't put that in with the brew kit. That's something I'd definitely do straight away. I'll put that in with the bag with the brew kit, like I said, to organise it. You've got an energy drink there. Not a bad thing to have in there for sort of hot weather climates and stuff. Only thing is, as soon as you put this into a water bottle, you've then tainted the water and you can't use it for anything else, can you? You can't like use it for making tea out and stuff like that. Alright, but it's not a bad thing to have in hot climates, which obviously we're in quite a bit these days when we're in conflict areas. Okay, next one then, this is another drink powder here, so just same sort of thing. Then we've got some fruit and nut mix, that's a tropical fruit and nut. Another drink there, so this is a cola flavoured drink. So that's 3 drink powders there. Next thing we've got is a sesame seed bar. Another drink, so a raspberry one, so a 4th one. A little bit overkill on those drinks, I think 1 or 2 would have been enough personally. And some peanut butter. So as I mentioned earlier, that go quite well on things like the biscuits, if you like that sort of thing. Personally, I think that's not a bad idea myself, just as a snack, you know. Okay, toilet paper then. So little packet of toilet paper, obviously very handy, comes in every single ration pack. And again, what I do is I'd organise that, I'd put that in with maybe the brew kit or just a bag just full of toilet paper. Okay, then we've got the actual meals themselves, right? So with this one then, you've got quite a decent one, steak, vegetables and dumplings, alright? So that sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not too bad. Only thing is with the dumplings, if you have to eat this cold for any reason, if you're on hard routine or you're just not able to cook for whatever reason, the dumplings kind of stick to the roof of your mouth, a bit like the old beef stew and dumplings. but not a bad meal there, okay? And you know, when I say about eating them cold, yes, you can eat these all cold, all ready to go. So they're, you know, they're pretty practical and they're good for any sort of tactical scenario. They're really decent, actually. Breakfast here then, chicken, sausages and beans. Pretty decent, not bad at all. Then we've got a dessert, sticky toffee pudding. Personally, I never eat any of the puddings. I can't bring myself to eat them. Too sweet for me, and I find a lot of the guys that I served with during my 25 years in the army, most of those guys didn't eat them either. I generally put 1 or 2 in if I was away for like 10 days or 2 weeks, just as a bit of a morale boost once in a while, but I usually find I didn't even eat them. So these go in here because obviously they up the calories massively within the rations to bring it up to that 4,000 per day. Personally, I think that they're a bit of a waste of time. Because, like I say, I've seen mountains of these in bin bags with guys just thrown away prior to going on exercise or operations. But, you know, I'm sure some people out there will be sat in their flipping trucks, renting it up, eating the sticky toffee puddings. Alright, but if you're into that sort of thing, yeah, that's there. Okay, an actual soup. So it's a Thai style chicken soup. I've not actually had that one yet, but that sounds pretty decent. You could have that maybe as a midday lunch thing, not bad at all. Last but definitely not least is this little bad boy. So they actually put Tabasco, just like the MREs have had for God knows how many years, in the British rations now. Which is amazing. I mean, I love Tabasco. You tend to get addicted to this sort of stuff, hot sauce, when you've been eating rations for a long time, just to try and spice them up a little bit, because they are quite bland, or they were quite bland anyway. They're not too bad now. But I think that's a great little addition. So nice little thing that they've been adding just for a few years in the British ration packs. So that's the ration pack there complete. That's all the stuff there that you get for 24 hours. And if you have a look at that there, it's pretty decent, to be fair. You know, they're quite substantial. The size of the meals are actually pretty good. They're pretty decent size, you know, and all the bits and pieces that you get with them kind of make it up quite nicely. One thing that you don't get nowadays is chocolate in the ration packs, okay? They basically made these ration packs for all environments. So, as I said earlier, we tend to do most of our fighting in hot countries these days. And chocolate, what happened when we were in Afghanistan in 2006, they were still putting chocolate in, and a chocolate was actually exploding in the ration packs, and it was all over the contents of everything you see in front of you now. So you'd be out in the middle of nowhere, you get a ration resup, they drop it all off, you get your however many days, you know, 10 days or whatever rations, open them up, and there'd be bloody chocolate everywhere, and it'd be stuck to everything. You know, you might not have any facilities whatsoever to have a wash. I know we didn't, mainly when we were out there, so that actually becomes a lot more of a problem than, you know, you might imagine, having flipping crap all over your rations and all over your hands and stuff, you know, and having to try and clean it off. But anyway, I digress. Quite a decent amount of food, as I said, for your 24 hours right there. Okay, then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the American MRE, meal ready to eat. Obviously quite famous. They've been made in the millions and millions, been deployed all around the world on operations, and, you know, to civilians on peacekeeper missions and stuff like that as well. They actually make a civilian version of these as well now, but I won't be covering that. So these come in a box of 12. In each box of 12 there's 12 different meals, which is a great idea, and it took the British a long time to convert over to that idea. It's probably something to do with expense. And the good thing about that is every time you get that box, whether you've got those 12 different meals, so you can swap and change what you're actually getting per each day, you know. The British rations used to come in a box of 10 that were all exactly the same. So if you were unfortunate and you got, say, 3 boxes of 10 for your patrol, you're going out on the ground for a couple of weeks, then you're eating the same thing for weeks on end. And I've been in that scenario, and it's not particularly nice, I've got to say. You know, after the first few days, you're not even looking forward to eating anymore, and eating is the only thing you look forward to when you're in the field, to be fair. So anyway, I digress. These come in a box A and a box B. Each one has got 12 rations in it. and like I say, they're all different, so it's a really good idea the Americans come out with, and we've eventually cottoned onto that, thank God. So this particular one then, this has got 1,262 calories in it. As I mentioned at the start, they average around about 1,250 per bag, and this actually weighs 635 grams, this particular bag. Right then, so opening it up, again it's sealed to the elements, and it comes in a pack like so. Alright, so again this is totally sealed, and it's got that sort of like serrated top effect that you can just open up like so and actually get to the main contents. Alrighty, so first thing I'm going to come across here then is this multi-grain snack bread. So that's quite nice. It's not that big. It's basically the edge is a bit of that big, and it's about that big there. So it's not as big as the entire packet looks here, but a bit nicer than eating the brown biscuits, I got to say. Only thing is, it's not that substantial, but yeah, a bit nicer than eating those brown biscuits. Okay, next thing here, this is a frosted brown sugar cinnamon toaster pastry. That's a bit of a mouthful. Alright, so that's kind of like a little dessert, and again it's not that substantial. It's kind of, by the time you've actually got it out of the packet, that's how big it is. So it's not massive, but they're quite nice, not bad. Okay, next thing I've got then is a chocolate beverage powder. So you can see there, this is actually shaped a bit like a bottle, isn't it? So this is designed so you can just tear the top off, pour water in it, and it's ready to go. You can drink it out of the packet. Now that's a great idea. It makes me think it's a little bit lazy personally, but it's not a bad idea. Okay. Next thing you've got is the old MRE spoon, a famous spoon that was mentioned quite prominently in the Bravo 20 book as the best spoon ever. Now, it's not a bad spoon. It's better than the British one, I think, personally, but you know, it's not that big either. Personally, I'd rather pack a more substantial spoon, and I don't bother with these little plastic ones. I may take sort of one as a spare just in case my other one gets lost or broken or whatever. But yeah, they're all right. Bit better than the British one. I'll go on to this in a minute at the end. Okay, sundries pack then. The sundries pack with the American MREs is much smaller than the British ones. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up and we're going to have a look inside. Okay, so a tiny little drink there, a powdered drink. So this is a cranberry grape, which sounds pretty awful to be fair, and it's tiny. I mean, you're not going to be able to get much of a drink out of that. Compare that to the British one where you've got 4 massive packets. I don't think that's particularly practical, that, I've got to say. Tiny little thing of chewing gum, 2 chewing gum tablets there, so not a lot. But bear in mind, you know, you get 3 of these a day, or you're supposed to. Some salt. Personally, you know, I think that's a bit over the top myself. You know, there's probably enough salt in the rations anyway, you know, in the actual makeup of the rations, but there you go. A tiny little moist towelette, as they call it. So a little, you know, cleansing wipe. It's tiny, that. And then some toilet paper, and again, this is not very big, alright? I'm sure the Americans do a lot of chuntering, a lot of whinging about the fact that that's all they get to wipe the backside on when they're in the field. I've got to say, I know it would happen in the British Army anyway. Alrighty, so peanut butter. That looks familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, so the Americans put peanut butter in as well. Actually, they did it before we did. I'm sure we got the idea off them, like most of the things we do, to be fair. Okay, cranberries osmotic. Never heard of that word in my life. Not cranberries, but osmotic. Okay, so there's some dry cranberries in there basically, which I'm not a big fan of cranberries, but maybe they just last longer or something, I don't know. But not a bad thing to have some sort of dried fruit in your ration pack. It's not a bad idea at all, actually. Okay, main meal then. So this is your spaghetti with beef and sauce. Now, it's not particularly big, is it? That's not as big as the British Ration Pack meal. Now, I'll do a comparison on that right now. So what I'm going to do is show you the size here then. That's the difference in size. So the British one is much bigger, isn't it? So these are nice. There's lots of variety with these main meals and the MREs, but they're not as substantial, I've got to say. When you're talking about actual food going down your grid, they're not as substantial. Right then, so these things here that I've left out until last. So the way that these are designed, the American MREs, instead of having a cooker like I showed before with a British one, they're designed to be heated with these chemical heaters. Now there are pros and cons to these. So you don't have to physically get a cooker out, you don't have to carry a cooker, all you have to carry is this plastic packet, and it's, weighs virtually nothing. There's a chemical heater thing in the bottom, and what you do is you tear the top off, put the actual main meal inside this sleeve, then you put some water in, there's a fill level on there at the bottom, and then what you do is you put it in this cardboard sleeve. Basically this just opens up, put it in the cardboard sleeve, and you sit it up on a rock or something. I've always found that hilarious. I don't know if it's my warped sense of humour, but a rock or something. I'm sure they could have described that better. Anyway, so what you do is you put the meal in, put the water in, fold the top over it, lean it up on something at an angle, and you leave it for a few minutes. It says on there, I think it's like 10-15 minutes, something like that. And what it does, the water has a chemical reaction with the pack in here, the heater pack. It heats it up, and that's the theory anyway. They don't get the meals super hot in my experience. They're not like properly warmed through. It's better than eating them cold, but they're not that mega hot. Compare that to the British take on it. And what you do with the British ration is you put it inside a metal cup or a mess tin with water, heat it up, and it does get much warmer as long as you heat it through properly. It's going to take 10 minutes or so again. And then also the other thing is, standard British thing, you've got a brew as well. So the water that you cook your meal in, you've got a brew ready to go. So you've got your hot meal there, which is going to be a bit warmer than generally what you get in these things, and you've got a brew as well. So personally, I'm probably biased, but I do prefer that method. However, this is great if you're on hard routine. So if you're working in close proximity to the enemy, like I used to quite often in Pathfinders, and you cannot get brews on, you can't cook, these can be a godsend. They do give off a little bit of steam, but it's not like cooking. There's no like flame, there's no smell really, and you could pee in one of these. It doesn't matter, because the liquid that goes in these you're not going to consume. It's just to have the chemical reaction in here. So you could use puddle water, you could use any kind of water, any kind of liquid really. Obviously I wouldn't start sticking petrol in or something. I don't know what would happen with that, but anyway, yeah. So they are tactical, they're convenient, but personally I don't find them as nice for heating your rations itself, or the actual job of it. So then just the whole pack there, then that's everything you get within one MRE. And as you can see, it's not massive, is it? There's a lot of sort of snack type stuff in there. The brew kit, well, there's no brew kit, is there? It's just some flipping drink powder. I know you do get coffee and stuff in some of the American MREs, but again, they're very, very small, their brew kit, and that's probably because they're not designed to be sort of cooked in boiling water. They don't really do that too much. I think they just use the chemical heaters mainly. If any of you guys that are serving in the US military or have served in the US military can put me straight on that. If you've got, I've not served in the US military, but I have served with them, and I've seen mainly these things being used as opposed to cooking going on. But yeah, Really good, diverse ration packs. That's what I find with the MREs. There's lots of nice little bits and pieces. Like I say, things with that bread. It's nicer than eating flipping rock hard biscuits. You do get jalapeno cheese spread in one of the ration packs instead of peanut butter, which is amazing. I love that stuff. I wish we got that in the British ration packs. But I do find them to be a little bit less substantial. But again, the other side to that is you get 3 of these a day, and you could literally take out the crap that you know you're not going to use. Like, for example, I wouldn't bother taking that personally. I just wouldn't bother with it. But the meals are pretty decent, and what you will find is the Brits, the British military soldiers, rave about these because it's a different meal to what they're used to having. So when we were out in Afghan in 2006, we was co-located with a US Special Forces team, and we were basically robbing their MREs off them constantly. Well, they weren't robbing them. We were borrowing them, and they were giving us the rations. And it was such a great change. And that's the thing, because it's a little bit more diversity in the food that you're eating instead of eating the same thing constantly. It makes the world of difference. So that's the main thing for me. Is the main bonus I think with these is there's kind of a bit more diversity with them. Okay, then a little bit of a comparison with facts and figures then. So, the British 24-hour ration pack. As it says, this is designed to sustain a soldier in the field for 24 hours, okay? So, within this, you've got 4,000 calories, and it weighs 1,800 grams. With the MRE then, this is, as it says, a meal ready to eat, so you're actually supposed to have 3 of these a day. They average around about 1,250 calories. This one is 1,262, I believe, and this pack actually weighs 635 grams. All right. So if you had 3 of these, times it obviously by 3, then you've only got about 100 grams more in weight than what you've got there. It's pretty much the same weight. And obviously if you was to take it out of his packet, you'd lose some of that weight as well. So they're pretty comparable. I do know that the American forces quite often, especially on things like, I know on Rangers School, they only get 2 of these a day. So what they try and do is degrade them a little bit by giving them, you know, just 2/3 of their meals per day. And I do know that speaking to some guys that have worked on foot, like the Ranger soldiers and stuff, that they do actually only take 2 per day in the field when they're on foot. So yeah, it just depends on how you're operating and stuff. So that was just a quick comparison there really, and a breakdown of the different kinds of ration packs between the British military type 24-hour ration pack and the US MRE. So slightly different takes on how they kind of approach the problem of feeding the troops. Both have got its pros and cons. Personally, I think the British one's slightly more practical, just in the fact that the meals are a little bit more substantial, the brew kits are a little bit more there, but the American ones tend to be a little bit more diverse, and they've got some nicer bits and pieces in there, sweeties and stuff like that. So each ration pack's kind of quite different each time. So no doubt we've got some people out there that have got opinions on this, because I know every soldier that I've ever worked with has got an opinion on rations. They'll chunter about them, they'll rave about them, so on and so on. So if anybody's got anything to say, any comments, suggestions, put them in the comments section below. I'll look forward to reading what you've got to say. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. The channel's grown a little bit now. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, talk about, compare, whatever, then put it in the comments section below and I'll get on it. So look forward to seeing you soon, and cheers.